following program on Ada Derana 24 is classified for general audience. It is intended for all ages. It contains little or no violence, no strong language, and little or no sexual dialogue or situations.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on yet another episode of Business Best, where we bring to you the best in the business and also bring to you initiatives and creatives that will help shape the future of the business world and also other aspects of our lives. Now, on today's program, we have to be tapping into our creative potential. It's basically an initiative that will help creators connect with other creators to create a masterpiece that is a cut above the rest and to give creators an edge over their competitors. And to speak more on this, we have the founder of Utpatti Records, who is Liswith Obinamuni. Thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much again for joining us. And Utpatti Records is an initiative that is a concept that is larger than life considerably when regarding the entertainment industry and also, of course, connecting creators to businesses. Now, before we get into exactly what Utpatti Records is all about, I'd like to know about the maker behind the marvel of that is Utpatti Records. How did you exactly get into this field?
I've been working with creatives for closer to half a decade, and I have been working with a company called Derana, where I've handled creatives, as well as I was the assistant director, the unit production manager for Partner History, which is a Sri Lankan YouTube channel that tells stories, educating people of Sri Lankan history itself. So I've had the privilege of managing creatives that are very, very talented within the Sri Lankan sphere. So from that, I thought of why not give them the edge and try something where the business world understands why creatives are important.
Like, that is quite an ambitious project considering exactly how you're hoping to connect artists with business. Now, tell me exactly, you are from the creative field. How exactly did you decide to take the plunge into the entrepreneurial world?
Entrepreneurial world, I have, before Utpatti Records also, I have done a few projects. I'm part of companies that are from the entrepreneurial sphere. I'm part of the hospitality industry in Sri Lanka as well as in Maldives. So working, managing teams, having very ambitious ideas was always part and parcel of what I wanted to do in life. And Utpatti Records is very dear, very close to me as to what I want to create and give forward to the creative community.
I see. Now that we have a little bit of an introduction on exactly who you are, let's dive into the topic at hand. What exactly is Utpatti Records? Please explain.
Utpatti Records, we started with the initiative of just giving immersive art pieces. The thing called immersive art is I wanted to give life to Sri Lankan art via Sri Lankan music. That was the initial concept of why Utpatti Records started. What Utpatti Records does currently is Utpatti Records connects creatives with other creatives. Utpatti Records connects creatives with businesses as well, and other technological aspects where creatives could showcase their works. For example, currently Utpatti Records is partnering up with an NFT marketplace, which is done by Sri Lanka called Hyperglade. So connecting creatives to something brand new, something technologically to level up, to give them more exposure in a whole different platform is why Utpatti does exist.
I see. So Utpatti is basically a trailblazer when it comes to things like connecting creators, and not just connecting creators to the public, but rather creators among themselves.
Yes.
But then you also spoke about how, as an initiative, it strives to connect creators to businesses and to the business world. Now, why do you exactly think that there is such a need for businesses to have creativity?
I think the most important thing is that businesses have forgotten why it's important to have creators as part of their brute force, because a lot of people take products, take businesses, and they run marketing campaigns. But does it emotionally connect with people is the question where it lies. So to have that power is something people might say, you know what, the product is really good. Yes, it is. Products are really good, but are you emotionally connecting with the audience that you want towards your business is where creatives come to power. And I don't think they're utilized in their full capacity currently. And I want to showcase to businesses, yes, this occurs, and creatives can create social change like they did in the Renaissance. Creatives can create businesses to go that last for 3-4 decades. That's what I'm trying to showcase to Sri Lanka, at least.
That is quite the grand concept, considering, we never think about exactly how we emotionally connect,
Yes.
but it subtly does happen. It's like our brains are hardwired
Yes.
to attach emotion to things that have, creativity behind them. But now, considering the business world, it's a cold cut, hard-paced, fast life, and it's very, very unusual to see creative arts in the business atmosphere. So how do you exactly, considering how fresh and new Utpatti is, how do you consider making this a sustainable business with a sustainable future?
Sustainable business is first, creatives have to get comfortable with themselves, showcase their work, and get to know the rest of the community too. Because I understand that a creative becomes even more powerful when an illustrator joins with a music producer joins with a storyboard artist, a storyboard artist joins with the cinematographer and the DOP. So this value chain of putting things together is an entire production. So us getting to know each other, us figuring out what the concepts are, what are the stories we want written, what are the stories we want to communicate, what's the language we want to connect with our audience. So those things are why Utpatti Records, I wish and I hope, it grows up to be a powerhouse of production within
I
Sri
see.
Lanka.
Well, that is quite the grand ambition that you have, but it has started with such humble beginnings, of course, and you're still finding your footing in the business
Yes.
world. And we just want to know, since you're the driving force behind Utpatti Records, exactly what personally gave you the push to actually go beyond and put your heart and soul into this initiative?
Simply because for the fact that when I've done other creative projects, I understood the business world in terms of funding. For creatives, it's not the easiest turnaround. So if you keep showing them the talent, what they could do, what kind of initiatives that could be created, and what kind of social change can be created via the creative community, I think it's sooner than later that they would have to start listening to how great the rest of the world is doing by creating the, taking the harnessing the power of creative community and just using it.
Bringing the concept of harnessing the power of creative communities, and also bringing in the whole idea that creativity is a reckoning force even in the business world, that is quite the unconventional concept in today's marketing world, at least.
Yes.
So there must have been some sort of obstacle along the way. Exactly how did you deal with such adversities?
The obstacle mainly was to get people to believe in the grand ideology that I wanted. It started with the simplest things of creating with connecting with creatives, telling them what I wanted to do with this, what I wanted to achieve via this, what platform I'm trying to secure for them, what is the exposure that I'm trying to give to them, what's the learning curve I'm trying to give to them. It's not only, hey, we make music, hey, we make art. It's not only that. It's the feeling of that you have other people that you can depend on the same creative sphere. It's having to know that there are other businesses that use creatives, that are elevating creatives, like NFT marketplaces, or whether it be cricket teams or whatever it is. A lot of them use it. It's just that they do it on a very back-end method. And for creatives also, along the way, get handheld and understand what the business end of the creative sphere is.
Exactly, and also considering NFTs. Now, that is something that is completely new and fresh to Sri Lanka, considering, the rest of the world is already well on the trend.
Yeah.
But of course, we're having a little bit of a problem catching up. Could you please walk us through exactly how Utpatti Records does this whole NFT initiative?
We do not do the NFT initiative itself. It's a company called Hyperglade that does it in Sri Lanka. So what we do is we have over 150 creatives that are part of Utpatti Records. So what we do is we facilitate and help them connect with Hyperglade and give them a bigger audience, another new platform for them to be in. It's a partnership of us understanding that creatives have one more sphere that they can break. So they started with ArtStation, Fiverr, all of these, Upwork, so on and so forth, Instagram, and then TikTok, so on. There are content creators all over. So we are just giving them one more platform that they can showcase how great they are at doing what they do.
All right, that was a great look into exactly the beginnings of Utpatti and what you guys are currently planning to do. Let's go in for a short commercial break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Business Best. We were in conversation with Liswith Obinamuni, who is the founder of Utpatti Records. Now, Liswith, we were talking about exactly the adversities and how you're going to overcome certain obstacles that were in your way, considering you're a very niche initiative that has great potential in the future. Now, we'd like to know a little bit more because you are creator-focused, right? Like, it's not audience, it's creator-focused, connecting creators to businesses. We'd like to know a little bit more about exactly how this process works.
In the simplest way that we do is for how we create immersive art pieces is as artists, as illustrators, you are more than welcome to share any art piece that you want to. It will be 100%. It's your rights. It will be all be given credit to you, and then we have this database of all of this artwork where we provide it to music producers. And to Sri Lankan music producers, if it connects with them, they will start making a production piece just for this art. So at that point, it's an elevator pitch for both the artist as well as the music producer in just one art piece.
I see. So that is a very intricate process for just one art piece. So it turns it into a completely unique experience,
Yes.
and it's a completely new perspective.
Yes.
So it turns your artwork into something that's a cut above the rest. But considering consider the entertainment industry, it is quite the critical field. And we just wanted to know how exactly you strive to make sure that your creators have the perfect fit. Like you say that, like you mentioned it in logging in artwork and of course, getting creators to connect. I'd like to know more about basically how you're going to ensure that they get the perfect fit. How do you ensure that?
The thing is, creators, I've understood, is you should let them have their own madness. We do not have a specific genre that we want in terms of music. We don't have a specific art style that we require for you to be part of Utpatti Records at any point of time. So whether you make R&B, whether you do electronic music, whether you do oldies, whatever it is, whatever your fit is, whatever the niche that you want to create and solidify, this is how I want to be represented within the art sphere, you're more than welcome to do it, because we do not try to put any forms of rule or boundaries as to, okay, you know what, we accept this kind of art, if we accept this kind of music. It's definitely not something I would do, because I understand you should let them have their complete autonomy of doing things, and something magical always comes out.
I see, and that could sometimes turn into quite a chaotic process, considering creatives and all, they have free thinkers,
Yes.
outside the box, there are no limitations.
Yes.
It's simply a framework that you can operate within.
Yes.
And I feel like that's a very flexible way to
Yeah.
go about things. But I would also like to know now, considering in the present, you guys are working on some really interesting things. So we'd like to have a little sneak peek as to what Utpatti Records has done so far.
Utpatti Records so far, we've been part of the NFT circle. We've connected some great illustrators, music producers, with good content creators, with cricket teams in Sri Lanka, so on and so forth. So they've been doing things that makes Upati grow naturally. We don't need to say, hey, you know what, look at us, because the work that's put out by all of these creators are leagues apart. It's something that's very unique. So currently, a bunch of creators have got together and they've created this character that they call Sandeep, and all of them will take chances of what the illustration feels like, what the song feels like, what the lyrics feels like, what kind of topics, taboo or not, they want to speak about. And this bunch of creatives are creating this one name and giving it a personality of different characters or different parts of this person's life. So things like that, it's very amazing to talk to them. It's very amazing to be inspired by them, because for like this time when we celebrated 1 year, we had a very small gathering where I wanted to have people from different paths, like illustrators, music producers, DOPs, NFT marketplace owners, branding companies. So all of them get to had a small. It was not a big event, but it's like a 10-15 people event. But they got to meet with each other and bounce ideas off each other and figure out, hey, you know what could we do that's completely new, completely creator focused. At that point, I think that's where my simple joys lie in with
I see.
Utpatti
Well,
Records.
your simple joys are quite the result of a large amount of networking that happens. While you
Yes.
mentioned that it is a small gathering, but it is basically
Yeah.
a concentration of some of the most creative minds in the industry, and they get to bounce ideas off each other, which is such an innovative concept. But I just like to know, right now, that sounds like a very full-fledged event, even though you say that you're still in the fledglings. But I want to know exactly how did this start up, as in how did you even get these creators to agree to something like this?
Because I've obviously been working with creators, I got to know quite a few of them, whether it be male music producer, maybe illustrators, so on and so forth. And it started with it was a movie scene that gave me the idea of, oh, you know what, this could be done. So in Captain America, in the first few scenes, there's one where they walk through the museum and there's an image of Cap and this music, and there's an aura to the background. There's an ambience that makes you emotionally connect with what's happening. At that point, I was like, oh, you know what, this could be done. And I just put up a post on Facebook and I said, hey, you know what, illustrators, I'm planning on doing something crazy. Just drop your art. On the comments, just drop your art. You will be given, it will be 100% your artwork. It will be given all the copyright is completely yours, but just drop your art and we would create something crazy. And at that point, I had just a few music producers that I knew. I connected with them and said, hey, you know what, I'm planning on doing this. First person I actually reached out was a music producer in Sri Lanka who's very, very talented, called Shamika Makalanda. So I connected with him and I was like, hey, you know what, I want to do this. What do you think of this idea? And he was good to go. And then slowly, creators started connecting me with other creators. From creators, I've got to know so many other creators. They say, you know what, he does this, she does this. So the network kept growing to now we're like 150 of us.
Wow, that is quite the humble beginning that turned into a massive force. It went from strength to strength to strength, and then finally it has ended up as it is right now. And now that we know about exactly what position Utpatti is in the present, I'd like to really ask you, what are your plans with Utpatti Records in the future?
Utpatti Records in the future, first stage would be convincing businesses that it's a viable idea to have creatives and use the power the creatives bring in to all forms of business, whether it be the IT field, whether it be you say fashion brands, whatever it is, how important that is. That would be step number one. Step number two, it's a very, very big dream, I assume, but I would like to have Sri Lanka's own production house that creates all of them. That's people are able to pitch ideas, people are able to create things that they saw as a pipe dream and like, hey, you know what? If someone gave me this chance and someone said, you know, can you connect me with the rest of these people? Would it be just a dream or would it be something that's feasible and presentable? So that would be I really hope that would be the end game for whatever that started.
That is quite the ambitious vision. I feel like, I mean, obviously it could be possible because if all creators join strengths and turn Sri Lanka into this unique hub of, you know, possibility and creativity, because we have so much untapped potential. Now, I'd like to ask you as a final question, I'd like to ask you exactly how your, you know, your fight to bring creativity to the business world has been going, like creating brand identity and things like that. No easy task, right? So I'd like to ask you how it's been going with you having to connect Utpatti Records with the business world.
Currently, it's a huge problem that I'm facing, I would say. And any businesses listening to this too, please think about it. Check how it connects with people. Check how the rest of the world does it too. And it's a very hard game. It's just a lot of pitches, a lot of try to convince people. People I know from the entrepreneurial end of it, and people I know from the business, like business end of it, all of them, it's a big convincing process currently, which I'm struggling with, and that's my current beast to tackle and say, you know what, I'm going to make a win out of this.
It's quite the Goliath of a task. But of course, I mean, considering the potential that Utpatti Records has, I feel like it would be only a matter of time before it turns into a driving force in the creative industry in Sri Lanka. Well, and that's all we have for Business Best today. If you missed anything, you can watch us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/OtherThanEnglish. Join us again next time as we bring you another product or service that is a cut above the rest from the business world. I'm Anuradha Vikram Singha. Thank you for watching.